Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And it's time to take on the final battle of Heroes Jubilee Blitz Boss Battle 2, which is going to work very, very differently than Boss Battle 1. You notice that this has a turn limit, and this one does not. And the reason for that is because this boss battle brings me back to the old days of Jubilee, before we got infinite damage and infinite HP. They had an actual HP bar, and what you had to do is, within a set amount of turns for max score, you would have to lower his health down to almost death, like a nut tap away, and then you would nuke, and then it would count your overkill damage. So you were not meant to be here for like 7 turns. You're here to do it as quickly as you can, but still hit the damage cap, which is 30 million damage overkill. So you can be in this fight for 8 turns, you can be in this fight for 100 turns. It's going to kill your score because of the turn bonus is going to go into the negatives. But whatever turn amounts you need to hit that 30 million bonus overkill is what you're going to need to do to at least get the max damage score. And then it's going to take into account all of the damage you've taken and your turn bonus and everything. But you have to lower his HP down as low as possible without killing him. So he gives himself ult and crit and decreases your ult resistance. He does have a bind on turn 2, well, turn 1 at the end, and then turn 2 you're binded. So if you're going to use the Frieren team, you actually have a way around that, because they have their special accessories that ignore bind. So I guess that's what they were going to use these for. And then attack and ult damage, and then seals defense and crit resistance and guard rate. So nothing too spectacular, except for the fact that he's going to crit you. Guaranteed crits right here, which is going to cut into your damage taken score. Other than that, you once again have a full hand of starting green orbs, which makes things pretty easy for teams you want to run. And my score here is now a bit more competitive, because it is just turn 9, I think is what we're going right now. Turn 8 I think would be the best, but I can't get 30 million damage on turn 8, so we have to go an extra turn. But let's go ahead and jump in. Okay, so we've got the Frieren team, and here we're just focused on a single target nuke, so Fern. We're going to try and buff Fern up as much as possible. So we've got Himmel, we've got the new Divine General hero, and the Pierce buff, because we're free to use anything at this point. We've got Frieren, we've got the old Masked Hero for the crit buff, and then Fern herself has a magic buff, so we don't need like Violet here. We also don't need Octogram Lumi, because, you know, we get the permanent ult, that's cool, but the AoE damage doesn't do anything for our single target Fern. And then we've got Raphael, which, again, you don't need Raphael, especially for this. Like, you're just supposed to do as much damage as possible. So if you want to bring, like, Light Lumi or something, just some extra power to give to Fern, that would certainly work out. Just another buff that this team already is not giving. So no ult, no EX ult, no ult down, no crit, no pierce, no magic, no synergy power, like, because these are already covered by these 4 characters. Bring something else to help you nuke more, which I don't know at that point what it would be. Pierce resistance down, crit resistance, or crit damage, I guess you could do. A number of different things you could help to make Fern do just more damage that Raphael is really not going to do. Like, he'll give her attack, yeah, cool, whatever, but that's about it. So, turn 1, again, starting hand of green orbs. Don't really need to do much here. We're going to swap in Raphael so that we can hopefully get a 3 steal, a triple orb steal on turn 2. But because, you know, Dino has a lot of HP. He's got like 700,000 HP, which is a lot. But you're going to do a lot of damage to him over the course of this entire fight. And there's the bind right there. So the hero, because she doesn't have a special thing, is binded. But Raphael and Frieren have their accessories on, so they are immune to the bind, which means we can freely swap Raphael ult after stealing, or doing this and just bringing Fern in. We didn't actually steal into 6 Fern. Not a big deal. You think I misplayed there? I mean, I might have, I might not have. But I don't want to get the EX ult right stat now. We can go a little bit longer. And especially if you don't have Raphael, it's not really what you're going to be able to do here. So you're just going to have to make do with it. So, anyways, going back on it, starting hand of greens means that, you know, you could use Divine General as well. That's going to be the second clip. You might have to go a few extra turns for Divine General, so it's not going to be turn 9, it might be turn 11, turn 10, depending on how many stacks you can get. It is very dependent on your stacks of Raphael, essentially. So, other than that, we're already on turn 4. We can go ahead and swap Fern out now, but what else I was talking about was the HP. You're going to do damage to this guy, because you need to get to turn 9, turn 8. And sometimes, depending on how things play out, you could do a bit too much damage, especially if you're stacking some kind of buff permanently that's going to make you do more and more damage, like Element, or Divine General, you're stacking ult damage and attack. You know, sometimes the nukes can really cut into their HP, and you could accidentally kill Dino faster than you would like, and then you're not going to have the overkill. Your turn bonus is going to be really cool, but you're not going to hit that score, essentially. So you do have to maybe take some gear off of your characters. Like, I took the weapons off of Raphael here, because we're going to be attacking with Raphael so much that if we need to do damage, we can always use a different buff and kind of help Raphael cut into the HP. But overall, like, I want him to do not as much damage, because I don't want him to kill too quickly. Because we have 4 more turns of this, and now we gotta send this. And I think I do buff up Raphael a bit, but you can see by the end of turn 9, like, Dino's pretty low. And if we had not taken the gear off of Raphael, he would have just straight up died. So we have the EX ult, cool. Let's use the Pierce buff now, that way we can hold on to that. And then we'll bring Frieren and Raphael in. We'll burn out these ults here. So boom, boom, we can steal some orbs. We can put the magic state on, since I'm planning on nuking turn 9. We will apply it on turn 6, so it's active on turn 9. And then we also used, I think, the attack buff. So 98k there, 29k there. We're cutting into his HP a little bit. And now we've got 2 more turns. And now, you know, Dino is a fair bit lower than what he was a turn ago, 2 turns ago. So this is where that removing damage really helped out, because the Frieren ult hit, you know, decently hard, 50k, 60k, somewhere around there. It took chunks off. So 14k, and then follow-up attacks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we still have 1 more turn, and now he's getting fairly low. He's into the red. We want to get him as low as possible without killing him. So this will be the final turn where we do anything before we buff and send Fern's ult, who has now got 2 buffs held on. She's got the attack buff and she's got the pierce buff in the back. So 1, and then we sent Frieren first, so she didn't get that 200% orb. And now Dino is fairly low. Like, I wouldn't be able to really send anything else here. So there's the magic state activated on turn 9. Well, when it clicks over to turn 9, there we go. And now we're ready to go. So let's use... Oh, we didn't actually use the attack buff. My bad. But there's the attack buff. And now we can bring you in for Raphael. We can use the Frieren, the Fern buffs. And now that we've used that many skills, we can use the fully skill-fused hero buff. 60% crit resistance down. And that's what's going to help us push into the 30 million range. So here, we're just going to send Fern, 120 plus 100. And then she's got 7 stacks. Yeah, 7 stacks. The weakness strike doesn't matter, but she's got literally everything else going on. Dino has the resistances down, the 150 weakness resistance, which again does not matter. And then Fern's actual nuke does 30 million, pretty much right on the dot. So we synergy, we crit, we pierced, we did the 30 million, and then if we check out the score here, you can see that the overkill damage maxed out. So the only thing that's going to affect your score at this point is going to be your damage taken, and then your turn. So if you can find a way to kill on turn 8, your turn bonus will be better. It'll be like 14k or something like that. So you get 2,000 extra points there, and then your damage taken Obviously, you have better defense gear, maybe some extra crit resistance gear or something. Maybe that'll work out for you. But the idea here is to hit, at minimum, that 30 million sweet spot. And whatever you need to do that. If you need to go a few extra turns to hit 30 million, that's fine. Because 600k versus 10,000 or 12,000 score, which one's more important? It's going to be the overkill. So just, if you're not confident that you're going to do 30 million, go to turn 10, turn 11, turn 12. You'll minus a few points here, but at least you'll get the 600 up here. Okay, like I said, next team is Divine General. I nuked on turn 9 with this team, but you're going to have to go to at least turn 10, especially if your Blanc is not level 120. So that's the caveat as well. But this is the Divine General team. It literally takes fucking forever to run, so give me a second. Okay, we're going at hyperspeed too. So turn 1, it's a free hand of greens again. So how we did it in Boss Battle 1, the green buff from Diablo, the free stack of Raph, and then the second stack of Raphael. You need to get as many stacks of Raphael as possible as quickly as you can, because that will determine how much damage your nuker is going to do. But here's the bind. This is why we left Gazel and Raphael and Diablo up front on turn 1, because they can do everything that we need them to do. We can do the multi-skill. We can use the orb change. We can use stacks of Raph. So these 3 characters up front turn 2 is going to be pretty important. You don't need Hero up front. You don't need Blanc up front on turn 2. You need these 3 specific characters. And if you don't have the light masked hero because she was a single banner and her banner was shit, just bring the old masked hero. It's going to be a character who does not fit the Divine General theme, but we don't really bring the hero much in anyways, so you would still have access to the rewind. You would have access to the crit buff as well, so that will be good damage for you. I don't know if it will enhance or lower your damage compared to this masked hero, but it's certainly a buff that you can bring, and a bit more accessible, because the hero is old and you can pick her up for free with a bunch of selector tickets over the course of the years, right? But now we're going to focus on starting to get the ult for Blanc. Because we're only in a single target fight, the enamor effect is only 25% versus the 75% that we were getting on Boss Battle 1 with 3 enemies. But here, it's just an exercise in how many orbs do you gotta deal with. The unfortunate thing is that Gazel, being the orb changer, he's going to be up front quite a bit, which means he's probably going to get an ult here and there. And because we are doing so many stacks of Raphael, and we are getting the attack buff from Omizia, we're double buffing him. And he has the second strongest ult on this team. Well, third strongest, technically. Because Hero and Diablo are support ults. Gazel has a 490% multiplier. So if you need to send an ult with him, he's going to hurt eventually as you get deeper and deeper in this fight. Because he's going to have 200% ult damage and, 5 stacks of 15% attack from Omizia or more. So I actually had a couple runs fail where we just did too much damage and Gazel accidentally killed because he naturally crit, naturally pierced, naturally synergied, which is really gonna fuck you up. So having Gazel do his ult is always kind of a danger. So here we're gonna send it because I want to get rid of it. But let's see how much damage he does. I'll try and pause it. He did 60,000 damage, I think. Yeah, he did 60k, and that's on turn 5. So imagine if he had synergied, he would have done like triple that or something, because of all the extra stacks of synergy power. And as you get deeper in this fight, this is only turn 5, he's only going to get stronger. So he's going to start deleting chunks of HP off of off of Dino's health. And if anyone ever naturally synergies, they're also going to delete chunks off the HP. But the good news is we don't have an ult for him anymore, and he doesn't have any orbs. So we can ult swap away, boom. We can take Blanc out, even though she has 4 orbs. We're going to be in this fight for a few more turns, so it's not really important that she stays in when we know that we're going to get it regardless. So it's more important to get the stacks, get the multi-use skill, and then orb change here. And then we can take Gazel out so he doesn't get an ult, or we can take Diablo out, one of the two. Sure, that works. Oh, I think we're going to rewind next turn, that's why. So that's why we brought the hero in here. So stacks upon stacks upon stacks upon stacks. The deeper you go, the more points you have, the more times you have to click the stupid fucking buttons. Oh, actually, we're gonna rewind turn 6. Interesting. Okay, well, I mean, sure, that works out too. I mean, we've already used the multi-skill green buff. We have the ability to reset here, so let's orb change a few times, and then we can reset with Elmesia, put a few more stacks on, orb change these other two. I mean, you could do it turn 7, you could do turn 8 when you have more points available. That's certainly an option for you. If you know that you're going to nuke on turn 9 or turn 10, then I wouldn't rewind until, like, the turn before. We do need to get the Blanc ult still, the EX ult, so we do need to, you know, stay locked in for that. If you get lucky, and you get Blanc's ult very quickly, I mean, you can do whatever you want. But here we've got a triple ult now. We've got everybody has an ult, which is kind of a problem. So green buff with Diablo, okay, cool. And then we're going to bring Blanc in for Diablo. She has 2 orbs guaranteed. So Elmesia to reset, and then we'll ult swap. We have to send the Gazel ult again, which now it's kind of dangerous because we're now a few turns deeper with quite a bit more stacks in. So let's see how much damage Gazel does here. And I think what took me away from going further than turn 9 here is that we were going to kill. And that's because of this Gazel ult. So Gazel does 151 now without hitting any natural synergy or stuff. So we took a giant chunk of damage off of him. So we're in the red. I would suggest taking all of your gear off of everybody and maybe even switching their supports so they don't have as high attack. The defense, you know, is not a huge like loss to your damage. You really want to hit that 30 million, and if you need to go an extra turn, then you're gonna have to go an extra turn. So here, we're gonna nuke because he's got fairly low HP. I think I could have gone an extra turn here to turn 9, and we would have been able to hit because we would have had a few more points. I could have sent like these 3 Blanc orbs without getting buffed, and we probably could have kept him alive. But we're going to nuke here, just as an example of what turn 8 looks like, and then how much damage we actually end up doing. So 1 more stack, 2 more stacks, boom. Alright, time to send Blanc. 37 stacks, and she does 25 million damage. So turn 8, Blanc was not strong enough at that point to do that 30 million damage cap. Unfortunate. Our turn bonus will look a little bit better because we're a turn earlier, but it literally only gave us 2,000 extra points, and we lost about 90,000 points because we didn't hit 600k, because we didn't hit that 30 million score. So just go a bit deeper, take all the weapons off, mix around your supports so everybody has low attack except for your nuking character, whether it be Blanc or whether it be Raphael, you know, whatever. But you gotta hit that 30 million. Okay, so realistically, it's going to be those 2 teams. There are no other teams that can really get the job done without having like access to weakness strike or something. So those are the 2 teams I'm going to show you today. You can, if you want to, you could try some of the other teams that, you know, are around. Like here is the Ogre's Pride team, which generally we know as a fairly strong team. We're going to nuke with Shuna. We've got the ult, we've got the Pierce Power, Magic buff. Elmesia's got the ult and ult down. Soe's got the attack and synergy power. Momiji has the Pierce and synergy rate. And you would think that, oh yeah, Shuna's going to do pretty decent numbers. And you would just do a blue stack for however many turns. But if we skip to the actual nuke itself, we're going to see that, 1, we have not really taken his HP down a lot. But also, just the sheer lack of power on this nuke is quite sad. So let's get those stacks in. We do 6.2 million damage. We need to do 30. We need to do 30 million. And while we did have a lot of HP, we were also on turn 12 already. So we were quite a bit deeper in. And so Shuna, like, they can't do it. They just can't. So you look at that score, and we almost do 6 million overkill damage right there. It's 118,000 points versus the 600,000 that you're looking for. Another option would be that I tried is the Primal Demon team. Because we know that Blanc, she infinitely stacks up a couple different things. Ult, Pierce Power, Attack buff. We've got Jean for the Weakness Strike, which doesn't matter. Element Resistance down, which is a terrible debuff, but more importantly, she can reset Blanc's skills back down to 0 and give us 300 points. But even with this team, when we nuke, it's going to be kind of sad. So let's use the final 2 stacks. We're on turn 9 here as an example of what we're going to do on turn 9 compared to other teams. And then if we send the Blanc ult, and some orbs just to lower his health down, the Blanc ult does 3 million damage. So if you don't have access to Divine General, or you don't have access to the Frieren team, then your options for doing 30 million damage type neutral goes down drastically. And at that point, I would suggest that you just use whatever you have available, whatever your strongest team is. It might not be the Frieren team. It could be a burst team. It could be Visions of Coleus, right? Anything you need to do. But I don't think you'd have Protector of Peace. This team probably not going to do that well because Maribel's whole thing is stacking Weakness Strike. You could try Overlord if you have Overlord, or the Idolmaster team. The Idolmaster team. Like, maybe you can keep him alive long enough to have Mirai or Shuna do a butt ton of damage with all these stacks, but you might just end up killing him. And then same thing with Overlord. You can try and nuke with Ainz. Just give him a literal shit ton of buffs with the Overlord team. Can you stun him? Actually, that's the question. I don't know. You can stun him. Okay, so like you could use Albedo there, quote unquote, technically. But honestly, unless you could try Commander, but we saw what Commander did in Boss Battle 1. It's not going to do any better, honestly. You're pretty much locked into the Divine General team, or you're going to be locked into some variation of the Frieren team. So whatever you use, if it's different than what I showed today, and you got an okay score, okay being subjective, right? Put it down in the comments. That way other people can see that and, put what kind of damage you got. But that's it for me, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.